Sorry it took me time to respond to this, so I'm putting this on your personal um, WhatsApp, but I'm also going to forward it to the entire chat because I think it's a very, very worthy point. And the point you brought up, so that everybody knows, and I'll keep you anonymous, the point that you brought up is that you said, I understand, people talk like, oh, this guy's wife wears the pants in the family, she's the boss, and they talk all macho as if, the man has to be king of the castle. The last few voice notes that I left, I was kind of hinting to that subject. So I was hoping we would open up this Pandora's box of like, who's the boss almost. And not only that, but how do you live with the fact that your friends think that you're henpecked, and you bend over backwards for your wife, and they're like, put your foot down with your wife. Like I do. What do you mean? What are you crazy? You don't see me, and your friends will tell you things like that. Like, "Oh, your wife won't let you go out. What's the problem? Well, your wife won't let you have a cigarette with the boys. What's the problem? Well, your wife won't let you spend money on the car. What's the problem? Well, you let your wife run your life. Things like that. Talk like that. So I've been hinting to this idea in the last couple of things. Now, Rabbi Miller, and this is a very important point, Rabbi Miller says it this way. He says, man is captain. He's captain of the ship. Lady is first mate. The man is in charge. Nobody can argue that. However, what does that mean in reality? This talk of almost this Fred Flintstone, Ralph Cramden-esque type of talk of, I'm king of the castle, I'm in charge, I'm the man of the house. Oh, your wife wears the pants in the family, I wear the pants in the family. That type of talk is non-Jewish ugly talk, anti-Torah talk. I never saw in Chazal, I never saw in the Gemara, I never saw anywhere where they bring down anything about somebody wearing the pants in the family, about somebody being in control, about somebody being in charge. Never saw that anywhere. So that type of talk is ugly, disgusting talk. A lot of people have different manifestations of their relationship. For instance, some people have a wife who's just naturally, when we want to say tougher, naturally more on top of her husband than others. He could have a great, perfect, unbelievable marriage. That's what he needs. There's another guy whose wife is easier. If he is going to constantly look at his wife and say, well, his wife is so easy, she's so nice, she's so sweet all the time, she lets him do everything, and he wears the pants in the family, quote unquote, and get involved in that ugly discussion, he's going to ruin what could be a beautiful relationship with his own wife. You understand? Hashem gave you this wife. That means this is the perfect wife for you. So, yeah, she's more on top of you than the other wife, but that has tremendous amounts of advantages. Studies actually show that wives who are more on top of their husband, so to speak, I know the word to use, tougher or more rigid in their ruling, are actually have deeper relationships than the other wives, which is a very important point. You may not be able to handle a girl that's going to give you the freedom and not give you the affection that you need. So we never compare. And that type of talk of you wear the pants in the family, the boss in the family, is talk based on non-Jewish logic of comparing that I got my wife, I'm the boss. It's disgusting. It's not nice. A real man doesn't look to be the boss in his house. He knows he's the boss in the house. Now, what do you do, as we said before, when it comes to actually practical decisions? And this is where this voice note is very, very important. When it comes to actual practical decisions, we said a man should know, pick your battles, know your points, know what your job is, stay in your lane. Your job is not to worry about the color of the house. Your job is not to worry about what rug she picks out. Your job is not to worry about what the kids are dressed like. Your job is not to worry about what's for dinner. All that stuff, let it go. It's stupidity. It's water under the bridge. It's called mili da alma, worldly stuff. That is the wife's job. Now, if you can't afford it, you can't afford it. You can't let your wife spend like a drunken sailor. That's a that's a different discussion. But we're talking about money is not the issue. You have a preference. Don't get your preferences involved. Let it go. It's her house. It's her dinner. It's her children for dressing them up and for who we are spending where for holidays. Now again, That could approach the subject of kibud avayim. Your parents want you. That's got to be done with chokhmah. But in general, those types of decisions where you're going for vacation, what to give the teacher as a gift for Hanukkah, things like that. What car to buy, that's the wife's lane. Let her have that lane. You don't want that lane anyway. It's not your lane anyway. The house will be healthier anyway. Here's a guy who forces his wife to dress a certain way, and she's miserable. Forces a lady to have the house in a certain way, and she's miserable. She doesn't like it. So what'd you gain? You gain a miserable wife, rather than letting a wife actualize as a person and feel she's living in the house that she wants. You forced you out to go on a certain vacation she never even wanted. Why do that? However, when it comes to religious affairs, like we said before, the man is the boss. That's where the man's. When it comes to all important things, what schools to put the kids into? Should we get them an extra tutor because I want my son learning more? Making sure that the family grows religiously. Making sure your wife dresses a certain way that is fits with the proper, dress of a Jewish lady. Making sure she doesn't, dress not siniut, we'll say. That's your job. That is on your plate. That's the religious level. Making sure your children go in a certain direction. That your daughter doesn't dress a certain way. No matter what your wife says, you are the line there. You are the rabbi, so to speak, of the family. Now, of course, usually in our community, it's the opposite way around. Usually in our, and I don't mean in our community in a bad way. I mean in 2021, the world, ladies seem to be more religious than men nowadays. So maybe it pays to listen to your wife, even on in this realm also. But we're talking about that she does. So what do you do? What do you do if you have a situation where your wife wants the kids to do something that you don't feel like is correct? Your wife wants to go on a vacation and you don't want to go because you don't feel spiritually that's up to your family standards. What do you do in that case? So this is where it requires a very, very important thing that I never mentioned, and I hope people are listening to this far into the voice note. These issues that we're going to talk about it a little bit later, that are almost solvable problems if you had an arbitrator. You need a rabbi in the marriage. If your wife will never look at you like a rabbi, meaning to say is, let's just give an example, me and my wife. If I told my wife, no, we're not doing that, that's not the level of our family, not that my wife would ever do anything like that, she would listen to me. It's an open and stop discussion. I'm the rabbi of the house, so to speak. She understands that's the same way I'll never ever talk to her about what she's making. She'll ask me what I want for dinner, but if she says no, I can't make that, I'm never going to force my way. It's her kitchen. God forbid, why would I ever tell her that we need this? Why would I ever demand something on stupidity? But I'll demand on religious levels. Now, if your wife is not going to comply, so to speak, you have to have a rabbi in the marriage. And anyway, you have to have a tiebreaker in every marriage. Let's just give a beautiful case. Here's a man who he lives in Brooklyn, and this is happening at a crazy rate. His wife says we have to buy a house. He's like, you're right, we got to buy a house, but I can't afford a house in Brooklyn. Let's move to Deal. I can't move to Deal. What do you do now? You really think that for the best of you, you can't afford Brooklyn. You really feel for the best of your family, the best thing to move to Deal. And your wife says no. Now, where does this go? This is an in-between. This is a gray area. You'll never change her mind to move to Brooklyn. What do you do in that case? That's why you need the rabbi of the family. You need a rabbi who your wife respects, who knows your wife, who knows how to talk to your wife. A rabbi who you respect, who knows how to talk to you. And that rabbi is the arbitrator. So before anything, you have to have that set up. Rabbi X is our guy. He's the tiebreaker. Whatever he says goes. I could tell you, and just in my own life, and this is very important, we always had a rabbi, my wife and I. And recently, but why do you think I moved to Deal? My wife really wasn't for us moving to Deal. Then we went to the rabbi. The rabbi said, move to Deal. And that was it. My wife was like 100%. And she came along very easy, very nicely. Why? Because the rabbi said, that's it. He's the tiebreaker. You have to listen to him. So therefore, the type of talk of who's the boss and who's this and who's that, it's ugly talk. It's not nice. That's not the way Jewish people talk. We have to know our lanes. Wife's lane is the mundane, everyday, run-of-the-mill things that are, she's in charge. Leave it to her. Give it to her. If she wants your opinion, definitely weigh in. When it comes to religious affairs, you're the boss. You're in charge. That's your responsibility. And I can prove it to you from a lot of places in the Torah where the man's responsibility is the level of religiosity in the home. If you feel your wife is not going to listen to you when you say things in a nice, respectful manner, not like a tyrant, as we said yesterday, therefore, if you think she's not going to listen to you, you need, and anyway, you need a rabbi that's an arbiter, a parv view, a third person, rabbinical person who knows both of you, and both of you respect, and he respects both of you, and he's going to be the tiebreaker. And you need that in every marriage. And therefore, who's the boss in the marriage at the end of the day? Hashem. And that's the answer. Who wears the pants in the family? Hashem. And Hashem dictates every minute, every nano inch of how we run our lives.